The Football Trash Talk for Real Fans podcast is an unscripted and free-flowing conversation that may touch on mature subjects. While the opinions are real, the research probably isn't, and we can't help that Atticus will probably talk about the Knicks.
And here we go.
He trucked dudes. It wasn't just in a preseason game. He did it pretty consistently. He left dudes saying, "What happened?"
You better put some respect on his name when we're talking about the champion, the Davion Clowney.
And I'm just going on eye test here, right? Like, I like the look of this coaching staff, you know?
All right, enough of this. Let's see what kind of shit we get into today.
Oh,
Loy, it's all yours.
that's the first time that happened. Back, it was telling me that it was recording, and I've never had that happen before. So they might have done some sort of software update on Zoom. But anyway, we are back for Football Trash Talk for Real Fans podcast number 18.
18, yeah.
Episode 18.
Graduating to college.
We're going to need to start having milestone parties or something and really shoot to get some sort of guest, like 20. Once we get we should shoot for a guest at 20. I don't know who, but we should shoot for some sort of special guest.
I mean, at this point, I'd just be happy if Atticus came back to us full time.
Mr. CEO himself. Anyway.
Yeah, he just flew the coop. He's like, you know what? You guys aren't cutting it for me anymore. You got to spread my weight, my own thing.
I know. Maybe he's feeling bad. Well, you know, he's probably feeling bad. The Knicks are down by a game. You know.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed a lot less Knicks conversation about the Knicks we've been having. I'm noticing a lot less posting on my Facebook wall. I mean, sorry, bro, you're down. I mean, what's up with them blowing in Trae Young's hair? What's that about? Let's play some clean basketball there, Knicks. Come on.
Yeah.
So the big thing that happened this week that I kind of want to get your take on, Adam Vinatieri retired. So
that was so big, I missed it.
So Adam Vinatieri retired. He joined the league in 1996. Just to get your mind right, to recap Adam Vinatieri's career. Back in 1996, 12 of the current 32 starting quarterbacks weren't even born yet. Frank Gore, who's real old, was 12. The Dallas Cowboys were actually considered a good team. So that's how long ago Adam Vinatieri joined the league.
Were you born yet?
Yes, I was born in 96. I was in high school in 1996.
Okay.
Yeah, freshman year. I mean, don't get it wrong. I wasn't driving a car yet, but you know.
Damn, he's been around the league for a long time, man.
He has. You know, and I'm gonna say it. He revolutionized the kicker position for me in fantasy football. There was a time where you took Adam Vinatieri again ahead of tight ends outside of the top 5. So he was scoring that many points in fantasy. So, you know, pour one out from Adam Vinatieri today.
I think that's a really good segue to start talking about some fantasy football.
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, it's almost June, you know, so we're right around the corner from camp starting. So we're going to start seeing, you know, a little bit more about what players are bringing to the table. You know, we're going to start. It's going to be August before you know it, and the Football Trash Talk for Real Fans barbecue is scheduled for the 21st of August. Right, a little side note, happens to be my 51st birthday that day, so throwing that out there for anybody watching and going to attend a barbecue.
Well, you know, little side note, my birthday is actually this Saturday. So,
well, happy birthday.
Thank you. 4 shopping days. I'll be the big 3-9. One year left of my fertile youth, and then it's all downhill.
Yeah. Is that what they
so
say?
Anyway, yeah. So we're gonna have the draft. We're gonna have the draft at the barbecue this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna set the draft settings for the 21st. That way, you know, we could do it remotely. We could do it right there. We can go live. We can video it, whatever we want to do. We did it once 2 years ago. It was the first time we actually did it at the barbecue. So we're going to look to do that again this year and get that rolling. It's a lot of fun. Good times.
So, at the sake of trying to have an overall conversation, let's just focus kind of on our draft. Because I know you've been doing some mock drafting. We've kind of talked about it a little bit. So where are you drafting in this year's draft? What's your position?
Pretty sure I'm number 4.
Number 4. So you're looking at Delvin Cook or Henry, depending on who slides to 4?
Depends on who slides to 4. Depends on who's picking. The most recent one, I got Saquon at 4, which depending on where you're going, I don't know if I want Saquon at 4.
Yeah, Saquon's, he's like Ezekiel Elliott. He's one of those guys where you keep assuming he's going to do well, but then he gets injured or for whatever reason he just doesn't. And then you feel like you wasted your first round pick. Like, is Saquon Barkley still a surefire first round pick? I mean, probably. I can't see him sliding past 12, but I mean, I'm number 1 overall, so clearly I'm taking run Christian McCaffrey run. But I was going to try and do something cool with his name there, but I wasn't quick enough to think of something. But I'm clearly taking him, but he's becoming like LaDainian Tomlinson of the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, he's just guaranteed to be number 1. But yeah, is Saquon, if I was 4, 5, 6 and Saquon was there, I don't know, man. Maybe I look at Devontae Adams, depending if Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully there's some things that get settled by then. I'd like to know where Julio is going to be, because right now he's currently going like around 45th. So that's we have a 12-man league. So that'll be like middle, late 3rd, early 4th for us. I think he'll jump up once his situation gets settled.
I mean, speaking on that, right? Like, just speaking on that, like, I did an auto mock draft. So my second pick is Calvin Ridley, which I found very weird, computer generated, of course, right? That, that's the end of the second round. So that's where they're throwing Calvin Ridley, and I don't really know where they put Julio Jones, but like, you're right, we need to find out where some of these players are going to be. We'll know by the 21st. We'll know by August. We should know before the end of June, right? Like, a lot's going to play out in the next few weeks, if you ask me, right? June 1st is 2 days away. That's a big date in the NFL calendar. And then I think June 8th is when some of the mini camps start. At least that's when Green Bay starts. So, he's already stated he may or may not show up. He'll get fined, whatever. I don't think he really cares about getting fined. It's just, there's a whole lot of speculation. So I think all of this heats up in like 2 weeks, right? A week to 2.
I think it makes it kind of hard to project now because, like you said, like Julio Jones is currently going in 45th, around 45th. I don't think he's going to be going there once he's settled on a team. Aaron Rodgers is currently going like 110th or so. I think once his situation settles down, he'll rise a little bit. I mean, I'm definitely a let quarterback slide guy, but if Aaron Rodgers is sitting there in the 7th round, I feel like you take him there. I do kind of want to go back to, I know we kind of talked about it for a second and then got away from it. Where do you see Saquon? Like, throw out like, you picking 4th, like, is Saquon Barkley still a first round running back in your mind? Like, I feel like they're more surefire first rounders like than Saquon Barkley just because of his injury history.
Yes, just first rounder, right? Like, he just has to be. Dalvin Cook's got history with injuries, right? So like, he wasn't injured last year and he had a phenomenal football season, right? Like, so right. I don't think you can really count Saquon out for that. I think the top 5, top 6 running backs are interchangeable. Like, I would have no issue with someone taking Alvin Kamara first over Christian McCaffrey. I'd have no issue with that whatsoever.
Maybe last year without Drew Brees, they kind of got. I mean, I think Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara. Don't get me wrong, and he's still going to be a top 7 pick, and rightfully so. But do I think Alvin Kamara is better than Christian McCaffrey without Drew Brees? I don't know, because that team's going to be different next year. It's going to be a different look for them, and he very well might be. I mean, he could be one of those I know it's hard to be a sleeper in the first round, but I think he's one of those sure picks that could very well be the number one running back when it's all said and done. But it's just without Drew Brees, it changes that offense a little bit. I think people, at least early in the season, are going to be a little bit more geared up to stop the run than maybe in years past. I think he'll suffer a little bit because of that.
So, and you don't think that Christian McCaffrey faces the same thing?
But he's faced that his whole career. Like
Okay,
he's never had a Drew Brees.
But he had Cam Newton, and they did go to the Super Bowl. And then he didn't have Cam Newton last year, and he was injured.
Well, he was injured, yeah. But before that, he was putting up, like, the 3 games he played, he put up something ridiculous, didn't he?
It was super ridiculous. I think he was averaging 27 points a game.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't seen anything that makes me think otherwise. There's difference between, like, just the situations, because they don't have anything. Like, you know, who was the number one receiver in Charlotte these last, like, 5 years? Because Michael Thomas is also a top 10 receiver.
Curtis Samuel, I believe, who was also hurt last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have there's a couple different factors where I think you're kind of used to Christian McCaffrey being the show, where, don't get me wrong, and this, I'm not taking anything away from Alvin Kamara. Like, if I was to end up with him, like, you know, in the top 5, I'm not upset with that. I'm just saying what's been expected of them and what they've had around them to help has been different.
I guess we're going to just agree to disagree here.
So you honestly, right now, if you were number one, you would take Alvin Kamara over Christian McCaffrey, or in your mind, there would be
I think it's a tough decision, and I think you're going to come out ahead either way.
I think you're trying to talk me out of Christian McCaffrey. I think is what you're trying to do. You're trying to play mind games. What's going on right here?
He had 21 touchdowns last season, man. You know, 16 rushing, 5 receiving. And like he's going to get the ball more. Every year he's been in the league, he's wound up getting the ball more, right? So, like, has he been a 1,000-back receiver? No. Or rusher? No. Has he been a 1,000-yard receiver? No. But he's averaging 1,500 yards every year. And, you know, last year he puts up 21 touchdowns. I mean, you can't not look at that.
I think, though, when you see, like, someone that scores a lot of touchdowns like that, there's going to be a regression to the mean. And I just don't see him putting up 21. And again, he's going to be fine. Like, if you're drafting 7th, right, and Alvin Kamara is there at 7th, whatever the reason, by all means, yeah, I'm not saying he should be outside the top 10. I'm just saying
top 5 pick, period.
I'm not saying, by no means, don't take what I'm saying. We should be drafting him 2nd round. But I am saying if I have a choice between him and Christian McCaffrey or him and Derrick Henry, I don't see how I justify taking him, because I don't see him putting up 21 touchdowns every year. That's just, if you're drafting him based off of that from last year, that's not going to happen every year. You can't bank on 21 touchdowns.
See, and you can't bank that Derrick Henry is going to continue to stay healthy, right? Like, he's taken a lot of hits in the last 3 years, right?
Right, but he's also
length of a running back of that size, and how many hits they take. You know, it catches up, man. You know, not saying he shouldn't be a top 5, top 6 pick, but you have to factor that in. Like, when is that bubble going to burst?
Well, how old is he though? He's still only like 27, right?
He's
like
pretty
he's
young.
still pretty young. So I think, and he's built like a tank. So I think you're right. Sooner or later, we're gonna have to worry about that. I don't think 2021 is the year we're gonna have to worry about that with Derrick Henry.
Yeah. So he's 27.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, if he was 29 turning 30 this year, yeah, I think you have a point. I think for this season and probably next season, that's not something, as far as fantasy goes, you're worried about Derrick Henry.
So last 2 seasons that he's played, 303 rushes, 378 rushes. It's a lot of hits, man. A lot of hits, you know, and historically looking, you know, when you look at who was out, what was another 2,000-yard receiver, Broncos, Terrell
Davis.
Yeah. All right. Once he had his 2,000-yard season, it was a slight decline. Took a lot of hits that year. Took a lot to get to 2,000. And then he just kind of started tanking a little bit, and then he's no longer running the ball. Just saying, it's possible to happen.
Well, not to completely disagree with you flat out, but yeah, the same thing happened to what was that guy's name? He played for the Titans, 2,000-yard rusher. He had a 2,000-yard season,
Chris
and then
Johnson.
exact same thing happened to him. 2,000-yard season, and then the next year he was still pretty good, if I remember correctly. The next year, but within 2 to 3 seasons, he was done. Like he had namesake and fantasy value, and that was about it.
He never produced like he did after his 2,000-yard season.
Right, like his next year he went high because of the 2,000-yard season, and he was still I want to say a top 12 fantasy running back that year. But yeah, after that it was 2,000, slight decent sized decrease, but still serviceable, and then off a cliff. Priest Holmes was like that. There have been a bunch of guys like that.
Yeah, he did that in his sophomore year.
That's true. But again, he's not built like Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry's a linebacker that happens to play running back.
I get that, right? But you're still talking about Mack trucks at full velocity, knocking into each other on purpose, and the number of hits are gonna take a toll. Now, I have him in another league. He's in my sleeper league. He's in my dynasty league, right? And I'm debating, do I put him on the block? Do I see what I can get for him trade value wise?
I mean, right now you'll get something good for him trade wise. Yeah. I mean, you could probably get a top receiver. I'd trade Devontae Adams for Derrick Henry. Or why am I blanking on names? Who's the guy in the Cardinals? DeAndre Hopkins. There we go. I could see you getting one of those, depending on what you wanted. I could definitely see that, or maybe a Nick Chubb and a tight end or something like that. You could get some good stuff for him. Circling back again though, because we keep sliding off the topic here. Saquon Barkley is he a top 5 running back in your mind?
I think he's a top 5 pick. Period. End of story.
Just because he's until injured, he's the workhorse back, and he's good. Again, not to get, it's just the injury history makes him risky in my mind.
It is risky, right? But you cannot deny his ability and what he's going to bring to the table. And if he stays healthy, so he's played 3 years, right?
And probably about 2 full years worth of actual action if you factor in his injuries.
Yeah, so he played all 16 games as a rook, and then he played 13 games the following year.
Oh, right? Okay, he played more than I thought he did. Okay.
So, and then last year he played 2 games. That's it. So, in 13 games, he had 1,000 yards rushing with a 4.6 average, right? And then he's also receiving the ball. He was targeted, 73 times for 52 touches. And he's a threat. You can't deny that. He had 2,000 yards from scrimmage as a rookie. I just don't if he's there and they have so many weapons and he does, ACLs are ACLs, man. They happen. And they're also not the death sentence they were 20 years ago.
That's true. That's true. And he's young enough to overcome it. We haven't heard as many Saquon's thigh jokes as we used to, but he's definitely, And they're loading up on offense, so it's not going to be all him either. They're definitely there's not going to be as much pressure as there normally is on him. So he'll have some. I think they're going to spread the ball around enough to give him some lanes to run through, and he's going to check down.
Their only hope is that their ability to spread the field out. I'm not sold on Daniel Jones,
right?
So he's still going to need to be the workhorse there. But they can spread the field out enough to overcompensate for some of their woes on the offensive line because they still have them, right? His ability to create space where there is no space is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. I watched him up at Beaver Stadium literally stop on a dime on the sideline. I don't even know how he stopped without going out of bounds, right? Did a little spin juke and then accelerated so fast, like nothing I've ever seen before in my life, right? Nothing. I watch video. I'm old enough to have watched Barry Sanders play, right? I'm not old enough to have watched Gale Sayers or Jim Brown play, right? But I watched Barry, and Barry was just like that. I think Saquon is faster, right? Did he lose any of the speed with the ACL? Time will tell. We'll see, right? But he is a freak of nature. He is an athletic freak. Has to be top 5, right?
So who would you say the top 5 running backs are? We obviously have McCaffrey.
I'm not even saying running backs. I'm saying picks, right?
Oh, I know. I'm just trying to broaden the topic a little bit more than the top 5 picks. So we got McCaffrey, Henry, Cook, Saquon. Who's the 5th? Like, I want to say Chubb based on talent, but
Alvin Kamara.
Fantasy wise, he splits too much time with Hunt to be the 5th best. But who else is there?
I'll give you CMC first. Then you have Kamara, Cook, Saquon, Henry.
Oh, I forgot Kamara. That's what I forgot.
Zeke.
Okay, so is Zeke ahead of Chubb?
It's a coin flip right now, right? But like, I think he has to be. I mean, if he's not the focal point, like when you have to stop DiGiorno, Pizza Boy, from being your quarterback, like, and all you have to do is key in on Zeke Elliott, it's going to be a done deal. I think him playing with Dak Prescott is a huge difference. So we'll see. Plus the factor of splitting time with Kamara, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not to say coaches would ever do this, but Kamara's got to be on the trading block at some point in time, or he's going to leave in free agency, right? So don't you want to showcase him a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm the Browns, I keep Chubb. Although Kamara's young as shit too. They're both young.
Yeah. Well, Chubb's only in his 4th year. This is 4th year of Chubb. So, and Chubb runs behind one of the best lines in the league. Yeah, Chubb's big flaw right now is just the fact that he splits so much time with Hunt by design. But it'll be interesting to see how long that goes on because they're not going to be able to keep those two together forever unless they're both just willing to play for less than what they could get elsewhere because they love playing for Cleveland, and who wouldn't? That being said, what rookie do you see making a big impact?
They're both the same age. They're both
Kamara
25.
and Chubb?
Yeah, they're both 25.
Why do I feel like Kamara feels like Kamara's been in the league so much longer than Chubb? Did he come out earlier? They weren't both rookies the same year.
So 2017 for Hunt.
Oh, you're comparing Hunt and Kamara, not Chubb and Kamara.
No, Hunt and Chubb.
Oh, Chubb was 2017. No, that's when he became a Brown. That's not when he was his first year in the league.
Hunt's first year in the league was 2017. Chubb's first year in the league was 2018.
So Hunt was only on the Chiefs for 1 year? He had to have been. Or did we get him? Maybe we had 1 year. No, we had 1 year of Chubb before we had Chubb and Hunt. So he would have been on the Chiefs for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Okay. Man, it all kind of – see, I was in the hospital during this time, so that whole stretch just kind of blurs together for me. Yikes. Anyway, so what rookies do you think will be the biggest fantasy grabs this year?
Running back?
Out of any of them.
Well, I think Devontae Smith's going to be a big pick, and not just because he's an Eagle. The more I dig into this kid, the more I am super impressed. Like, I was concerned with his durability. He's taken big hits his whole 4 years at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Waddle's going to be a big pick. Jamar Chase is going to be a huge pick. I'll tell you who I like as a sleeper from a rookie standpoint is that Bateman character that Green Bay wanted but didn't go up and get. I think he's a wild card. Elijah Moore on the Jets, I think, could be special. I think that Harris is going to do things in Pittsburgh that they've sorely needed for years, right? They thought they had it in James Conner, but they didn't. I think they have it in Harris. What's all the speculation with Etienne? What's going on? Like, I'm just hearing weird things.
Yeah, I heard they're gonna put him at wide receiver. I don't know, man. I feel like I don't understand what the yeah, I know we're kind of jetting away from fantasy here. I don't understand what the Jaguars were doing in the draft. I have no clue what they're doing. They drafted a guy in the first round that they're not even they're trying out at a different position. Like I don't understand. You don't that's like a third or fourth rounder that you do that. Like, yeah, he's just an all-around fast guy that maybe we can convert to wide receiver. You don't draft a first round running back and then be like, oh, by the way, we're going to try you out a wide receiver. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. You don't draft your change of pace running back in the first round either. So I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what's going on with him. I want to say right now he's typically going like fourth or fifth round in the mock drafts I'm seeing, depending.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Until he's one of those guys that you're going to want to see through training camp and figure out what they plan on doing with him before I would draft him. I feel like he just got stuck on the wrong team. He got drafted because he's got familiarity with Lawrence, and that's it. And they're just going to kind of screw this kid's career because I don't think they know what they want to do with him. Actually, for as much crap as we gave Atticus about that receiver that the Giants took, I guess that's who the Jaguars wanted. I can't think of the guy's name, but the receiver that the Giants drafted in the first round, that's who
Kadarius Toney.
Yes, that's who the Jaguars wanted. When they didn't get him, when the Giants picked him, they went with ETN.
Let me show up to day one of training camp without any cleats.
Hey, it's a rookie mistake. You got your thing. I keep having a recurring dream where I need one class to graduate college, and for some reason, I don't go to it all quarter, and I wake up convinced it's real. So it sounds on cue. Anyway, sounds on brand for me. Little sidetrack. You forgot the one that I think is going to be the biggest difference, especially if Julio gets traded, which is Pitts down there in Atlanta. I think right now he's averaging like in the 80s for his draft pick, like late, like set. So that would put him for us. That would put him 8th, 9th round, depending. Which blows my mind because especially unless he just has a hard time translating to the NFL, which I don't see why he would. I think he's going to be a top 5 tight end. I don't think he's going to be putting up like Travis Kelce like numbers, but I think he's going to be fairly interchangeable with who's the guy on the Raiders, Waller. So I think he's going to be a steal. That would probably be the one I would look at the most. The guy that went to the Steelers, whose name I can't think of it. You touched on him. My only thing with him is that's gonna be a tough division to run in because there's a lot of good defense, like a lot of beef on the line for every team, and their offensive line just isn't that great. They lost a lot on the offensive line, and they haven't really addressed it. So I think he'll be a good running back in the next couple years. This year, I think it's going to be tough going because he's got an aging Big Ben, and they still don't have a great line. He's a good piece for the future. I don't know if he's going to be a great fantasy piece this year, other than the fact that he's probably going to get a lot of touches. That's going to be his saving grace. But at one time, Trent Richardson was a top 10 pick just because of his usage rate, not because he was actually doing great things with it. But that's another story.
Sure.
I was so excited to draft him too. He was the first Brown to draft in the first round, and like as long as I can remember playing fantasy football. So I was so psyched to draft him. And yeah, he did absolutely nothing. But oh well, you live and learn. By the way, I would like to take issue with one thing real quick while I have you here. You said I'm not that good at fantasy. I've been in the quarter or the semifinals every year in our league, with the exception of the year I drafted while I was high on opioids. Because I was in the hospital.
You weren't any good.
You did. When? 2 or 3 podcasts ago. I remember this stuff. I store it away and bring it out.
Which you haven't won.
Well, yeah. Have you in the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
When?
How many have we been in? I think I'm the inaugural champion. We have not been in 4.
Yeah, we have. 2017, 18, 19. Okay, this will be the 4th.
I'm going to pull it up right now, man. We'll go into the history logs.
I know we were in 2007 because I was in the hospital when I was drafting. Like I was lying in a hospital at drafting. So that's how I know that for a fact. Yeah. That's also why I was on opioids for listening and possibly any federal agents out there. That's
second place last year. I won in 2018.
So that would have been our first year.
That would have been our first.
18.
Yeah.
17, 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 4 years. I've made it to so last year I made the playoffs. I stopped caring after I lost to Jordan, who I think won it all. And I stopped I didn't even line up after that because I'm a sore loser. But yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know a thing or two about fantasy football.
Okay,
sir.
But you made an outlandish statement that you need to retract. You're like, neither of you've never won. Okay, I won the inaugural, and then I was in second last year. So come on now. Respect. Put a little respect on that.
Okay. You were in the COVID. Well, the Browns were 11-5 last year, so all kinds of crazy crap happened in 2020. So
right, I am I'm a formidable fantasy football owner. Unlike Mr. Gorky, who likes to say that his team is so good every season, and I think he has yet to make the playoffs. I don't know. Did he make the playoffs early?
I think he made the playoffs last year. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I know I had benched
last year. He was 9-4.
I mean, it's okay.
It's all right.
I mean, we'd say he could defend himself, but he never bothers to log on either. So we're just going to trash your fantasy football game, Brandon.
He was 5-8 the year before that. And then, I mean, in the inaugural season, he was 9-5, but I think he got knocked out of the playoffs early. No.
I'm pretty sure the inaugural season's the only season I didn't make it. But again, disclaimer, was also in a hospital bed when I did my draft. So
4-10.
Good times.
4-10. You were terrible.
I whatever. I have a built-in excuse that year.
So before we roll out, if you could, and by sleeper I mean 8th round or beyond, right? Who's your sleeper? Back of pocket, want this guy late round. Not going to reach for him, right? But if he's there 8, 9, 10, which is like 84 through 120, right? Ranking wise.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
AJ Green.
AJ Green. You don't think he's going to go before that?
No, at least in the mock drafts I'm doing. I'm picking him up in the 12th, 13th round.
Okay.
AJ Green on the Cardinals. I think he's due for a bounce back year. I mean, and really, he's going to be the number 3 receiver. I mean, you're going to have your a safety covering AJ Green on 3 receiver sets. Come on.
Okay.
Like, granted, he's been injured the past couple of years, but I think he's going to have the type of year where he ends up getting overdrafted next year. Is what I'm not going to predict him being like a top 20 receiver, but it's going to be good enough to where next year he's going to get drafted in the 3rd round or something stupid like that, because that's what people do.
All right. I'm going to go Michael Carter, New York Jets rookie.
All right.
My sneaky pick.
Any when are you drafting a quarterback this year? Because I'm noticing they're going real late.
I noticed they go late. Well, I've noticed if it's Mahomes or Josh Allen, it's way early. That's what I've noticed. In my mind, it's way early. And then they die off, right? So like my plan is to, do what works, right? Like really solidify the backfield and the wide receiver slot before I even look at a quarterback.
Yeah, it's that's kind of what I've seen. Like if you want Mahomes or Allen, you're drafting them like in the 5th round. And I typically, as a rule, don't draft quarterbacks before round 6. Unless if Mahomes is in the 6th, I'll grab him. But I typically see them going in like the 4th, 5th rounds. And then like I've been picking up Russell Wilson in like the 8, 9 area, which I'm happy with that. Jalen Hurts is at least his projected fantasy points are real high this year, which is interesting to me. Other than that, so last question I want to ask you: what is your take on what's his name? Not DJ Metcalf, but the other receiver for the Seahawks.
Sleeper.
You think?
Yeah, man.
Because he typically goes around the same time that like Cooper Kupp, guys like that go, like good slot receivers. I've had him a couple years. My thing with him, he's just inconsistent. Like he'll have a game where he scores 40 points, and he'll end the year with a good amount of points, but it's because he had like a game where he scored 40, a game where he scored 30, and then he's got like 10, 12 points every other game.
It's real frustrating. Tyler Lockett, right?
Yes, Lockett. Yeah.
Right. So they got him as wide receiver like 23. We'll say wide, and he's right there around Cooper Kupp, right? But like people forget about him, man. He's sneaky good, and he's good for a big play. Like he's pretty good. He's solid. He's going to get you a solid 17, 18 points a week, right? Done deal, right? He's going to get you 8 receptions, 80, 90 yards, maybe a touchdown, right?
A long touchdown, yeah.
But every now and then he's going to get you that long one and bust you for 30 points, 35. You know what I mean? So like as far as like a wide receiver 3 on your team, because we start 3 wide receivers, like the quality player to have.
I guess we should have told people that we play a little bit different. We have a quarterback, 2 running back, 3 receiver, a tight end, a flex, no kicker, and a defense.
No kickers.
Is what we typically run. Yeah, no kickers. Because screw kickers. What have they ever done for anybody? Last question. I'll let you get out of here on this because I know we got to keep it short today.
We're already over.
No, we're not. We're at 30. We're at 37, and I gotta trim some of this anyway, so we're good.
Right.
Last question. I'll let you go. Who's someone? And you kind of mentioned Calvin Ridley, so if you want to go back to that, but who's someone you see getting drafted in, we'll say, the first 2 rounds that you don't think should be going as high as he is?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You touched on Calvin Ridley, who
I don't know about Calvin Ridley. No, man. Like if Julio's not there, I mean, I know they got Pitts, but like Ridley's not a bad option.
See, with right now with the uncertainty around Aaron Rodgers, I think Devontae Adams going in the top 7 might be a bit of a reach. He's good, but we don't know who's gonna. Is he Kevin Love throwing him the ball top 7 good? I don't think so.
So
that's kind of mine, depending on what happens with Rodgers. But this might be a revisit later question.
Austin Eckler's going to go way too early, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, I want Aaron Jones or Nick Chubb before Austin Eckler. That's just me, right? And maybe I'm not giving Austin Eckler enough praise, right? I also like Joe Mixon. For whatever reason, I like him. And for whatever reason, I'm not sold on Austin Eckler.
The other running back I see going a little high, and I can't think of his name, is the dude on Washington. He was a rookie last year. He had a good year, but
Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, he tends to be going end of the second round, and I just don't see it yet. I'd feel weird picking him there. I rather, if I was trying to pick my other running back, and I'm picking one, and typically when you're picking at the back end of the second round, someone inevitably slides. Like I've managed to get Miles Sanders a couple times in mock drafts.
They have Miles Sanders as running back 17. I think that's egregious. I think he's gonna have a bounce back year. But anyway, I told you to let you get out of that question. Short podcast this week. We'll do better next week. Anything you want to leave the people with, Mike? Yeah, the Knicks are now trailing 15-12 right now in the first quarter of game number 4. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
I don't want to brag too much, but I seem to remember someone on this podcast, I'm pointing at him right now, saying they'd be a great one and done, win one game in the first round and out in the playoffs. So just gonna say, just throwing that back out there.
Throw it out there, man.
Just making sure we remember.
Right.
Anyway,
close us out,
we'll catch
Chris.
you next week, man.
All right, brother.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.